Welcome back, everybody, to the Amelie podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about a topic that I think is very close to travelers' hearts because it's all about safety and how to stay safe when you're traveling. I feel like also this is a really subjective question because every place is going to be different. People individually are different. So I'm going to do my best to kind of keep it very general, but also obviously helping. And I have a very interesting story time to tell you at the end of this episode, which involves making sure you're staying safe. And it actually happened last weekend. It's a very recent incident. Let's get on with the podcast. Staying safe when you're traveling, I feel, is something that is, like I've said, really subjective, depending on who you are as an individual, depending on where you are in terms of what place. I want people who are even going on a vacation, who, if you're just going away for a week, even use this in daily life, as we will find out in the story time, or if you're going backpacking, just use these tips and hopefully they can help you because they certainly have helped us when we were backpacking. I do want to say that obviously I'm talking about safety when traveling and how to kind of navigate that. But weirdly enough, as you'll hear in the story time later on in this episode, I actually didn't feel that unsafe when we were traveling around Latin America. It's painted as this very dangerous, kind of not safe to travel or backpack and you shouldn't be going there. And I think it just gets a really bad reputation for obvious reasons. I don't know if that's because I was traveling with a guy and he's like obviously bigger, stronger than me, but I never personally felt too unsafe. There were definitely moments where you kind of have to be a bit more aware, but I kind of want to preface it with it's actually when I've moved to Melbourne that I've probably felt more unsafe. But my first topic in terms of safety is just being aware of your surroundings. I don't want to make people feel paranoid and I don't want people to think that you need to constantly be checking over your shoulder and you need to be constantly looking around. But I think definitely being aware, just as you would be at home when you don't want your phone stolen or your wallet stolen or anything, you're going to want to be aware of your surroundings. I would say it just becomes a bit heightened when you're backpacking or when you're traveling, even when you go on holiday, you just suddenly become very aware of it because this is not your familiar surroundings. You're not used to being in this kind of environment, which is good, but also can be really bad because you don't want to be too paranoid. Like I've said, you don't want to be kind of wasting your time just constantly worrying, but it is something that you need to be aware of. One tip is 100% trust your gut. I think this occurs in everyday situations anyway, but trusting your gut in an environment that you're not familiar with will definitely go a long way and obviously prevent certain situations happening. If you don't feel safe in an area, or if there's something telling you that maybe we should just not be here right now, 100% trust your gut because you just don't want to know what could have been if you decide to stay and feel uncomfortable. By being aware of your surroundings, I think you can also kind of use this to your advantage and try to blend in because if you go backpacking, for example, we took very basic clothes. I'm still wearing the clothes we went backpacking with. Haven't bought a whole new wardrobe yet. But you want to kind of take very basic clothing, in my opinion, because you don't want to stand out from everybody. If you're going around and you have loads of flash jewelry and you have loads of nice, expensive clothes, one, you'll be really sad if they do get stolen or if you lose them or whatever. But it just draws more attention to you. And that's not obviously something you necessarily want to do when you're just trying to walk around, explore a new area or try something different. I think that kind of trying to blend in with the locals really does help. I mean, I would say it was quite difficult. I really tried in Latin America, but I would say it was pretty difficult for me. I'm a redhead. I have pretty pale skin. Everybody I'm surrounded by is dark hair, dark features. So I was trying to blend in as much as possible, but you can imagine it was not the easiest. But in terms of clothing, 100% you can do it. I took the most basic vest tops, basic trousers, basic jeans. You just want to keep it simple as. And also when you get on public transport, I think it's really important to know kind of your A to B and what that journey is going to look like. I don't mean sit there and over plan, but you do want to know what that journey kind of looks like. What's the title of the bus that you need to take? Is there a metro? People do this even when they're on holiday. You know, you want to understand your journey and make sure that you're getting there safely. I just think when you're going backpacking, it can kind of have new challenges because you're worrying about your transport, you're worrying about getting your phone out, you don't want it to get stolen. You're also worrying, is this the right bus? I think there's a lot more to kind of worry about, and the fallout can be pretty stressful if anything goes wrong. Keeping valuables safe. We actually obviously had our passports and all our important documents, but we did photocopies before we left of our important documents. I think I did it of my driver's license and my passport, just in case anything got stolen. Then I had a copy that was safe in our hostel or in my bag, wherever I kept it. And it just meant I could use that as a form of ID if we had to go to an embassy or if we had to go somewhere where they were obviously going to need my ID. I didn't use it, but I would say it felt very nice to have it. It felt very reassuring that it was there in case I did need it. Once I say it, I'm kind of thinking maybe that's not a top tip, but it's definitely something to consider if you're worried about losing your passport, losing your driver's license, if you're a very clumsy person, if you're a very forgetful person. 100% recommend doing that, but I wouldn't say it's essential. And another thing that we did, and we also saw a lot of other backpackers do, is splitting your money across different areas. So if you have your wallet on you, don't carry all of your money and all of your cards on you. Spread them out. Maybe you keep some money in a bag that you've left at the hostel. Maybe you leave some in a special item of clothing somewhere else. I think just spreading them out, because obviously if I then get robbed one day, I've still got my backups somewhere else. And that brings me to saying that I definitely recommend taking 2 different travel cards with you and keeping those in different places. So I went with Monzo and Wise. I have to say Wise is probably the best thing ever. I used my Wise for pretty much the entire 6 months and the beginning of Australia. Just get a Wise card, get a Monzo. People recommend Revolut as well, but just making sure you have one of those cards on you. So when you're going out, you can obviously pay for things, but in case that gets stolen or lost or anything happens to it, you've got your backup card at the hostel or in a different place so that you're not too worried and you've not been stranded with no money, because I can't imagine that Revolut or Wise are going to be sending out cards to the middle of Thailand or Bolivia or Argentina. And obviously it's really ideal. You've got technology, you've got your bank on your phone, so you can just transfer the money from that card to a different card, cancel that card if anything happens. And I've just found that it made it a really, really simple process if anything happened. And also some countries, I don't know about Asia, but in Latin America, some countries were very funny about Visa and MasterCard. So Wise is a Visa card. I'm not sure what Monzo was, but we also had Starling cards and their MasterCard. Some countries don't let you pay with MasterCard and Visa, vice versa. So it's quite helpful to get 2 different types, is what we found in our experience. And then you obviously want to protect your passport. This is the holy grail. This is what's getting you from home, away, back to home. You need to protect your passport at all costs. I won't lie, I don't think my passport left my side for the 6 months that we were traveling. Genuinely had it on me 24/7. I never left it in any other bag than the one that was always on me, which I 100% recommend because nothing happened to it. I always knew exactly where it was, and it kind of became a case of if it wasn't there, I didn't know where it was. I kept my passport in a money belt that I actually ended up carrying in my Uniqlo bag, because the money belt, for some reason, maybe it was the one I bought, I don't know, but it was very bulky underneath my clothes and I felt it just looked a bit too obvious. It also meant that I was constantly having to pull up my t-shirts at the beginning to get any money out or to kind of get access to anything. So I ended up just putting that money belt in my Uniqlo bag, which I wore 24/7. I basically never took it off. I don't know if I can kind of say what's better. I think it was maybe the money belt I bought. So I would recommend getting like a really thin, kind of skin tight one. My one felt more like a little bag. You don't want to obviously draw attention to it, so the thinner the better if you want to have it kind of stuck to you the whole time. But we also very quickly learned and saw that people who are going to rob you, for example, target people with passports that they recognize. And so the British passport, pretty recognizable. If you're going around flashing your passport, you kind of just set a target on yourself. It's very clear that you're a tourist and you don't want to do that. Technology played such a big part in traveling, I will say, and I'm very, very grateful for the resources that we have now. When I think about when my parents went traveling, I honestly don't know how they did it without mobile phones or anything. I felt so grateful that we had things like Google Maps, Apple Maps. We had obviously like tracking people's belongings, tracking people's locations, and we even were able to get eSIMs whilst we were in Latin America. And I think we used Holofly. I would recommend Holofly. It was really, really good. We had connection wherever we went. It kind of just did the whole continent, so you didn't have to kind of change anything once you got to a different country. And it was pretty cheap from what I remember. But technology was such a lifesaver. And it was also really nice because I was doing a polar steps whilst we were traveling. And so I was able to kind of show everybody the locations we'd been to, and it pinpoints it on a map for you so that people at home can follow and obviously see where you've been. It's quite difficult, I think, as well, I'm sure, when people go to Asia to kind of pinpoint where you've been exactly, because people don't know those places. You know, I can imagine if you've gone to Indonesia and you've gone to one of the islands, people are not going to know where that specific island is. So being able to track locations and have people follow our locations was really, really lovely, so that they could actually see exactly on the globe where we were. And we also bought air tags for our bags. So I had one in my big bag. I didn't have one in my day bag, my sort of day rucksack. And that kind of brings me to the story time from last week's incident when we were robbed. This story time has got quite a lot of different elements to it, so I'm just going to kind of take you step by step and hope that you stay with me. To set the scene, to give a bit of context, this happened last weekend. We were out with our boss. Sam and I work for the same company. We were out with our boss just having lunch, and we'd gone out into the centre of Melbourne. We'd gone to a nice restaurant, parked the car in a car park, and off we went. We ate food and it was fine. And we go back to the car park and I open the car door and all I see is the wires from the glove box of the car completely strewn all over the car. And I mean, it was just cut up wires everywhere. And I sort of didn't clock it at first. I sort of opened the door and was like, oh, okay, I don't remember this being like this, but okay. And then suddenly I turn my head to the other side and I see the entire car has been ransacked. Someone has robbed us. None of us really realised. It was sort of one of those things, it was a slow burner where we all sort of looked at each other going, no, this isn't happening. It's that horrible feeling where you're trying to remember, what did I leave in the car? Was there anything that I left in the car? And we're checking our pockets, we're going, okay, I've got my phone, I've got my wallet, okay, that's fine. As long as I've got that, that's fine. I've got my house keys. Sam turns to me and goes, my rucksack was in there. We're thinking, okay, well, what was in the rucksack? Because the rucksack's fine. You can replace a rucksack, doesn't matter. We ended up having stolen a jumper, a raincoat, or 2 raincoats actually, house keys, the actual rucksack in itself, and then some of our boss's coats and things were also stolen. Our immediate reaction was security. Okay, there must have been security because we're in a car park, this person's broken in at 1 p.m. on a Saturday. This is kind of like prime time for everybody to be out, so surely someone's seen something. We run to try and find security, but obviously it's a car park. They don't have any desks there or anything. So suddenly we go back to our boss and we say, right, okay, we're going to walk home. We just need to go and find security. We need to find where their desk is. We need to call the police, etc. And our boss goes, yep, I'm going to go to the police station straight away. So he drives off. We go and try and find security. We go into the next door building, find the security desk for the car park. Sam is calling the police. Obviously, you need to do a police report. We need to report this as soon as possible. After about an hour, we have finished the police report. I have spoken to the customer service desk and they actually have the CCTV footage of the car being broken into. So we're thinking, yeah, that's fine. We can get the stuff back. I'm talking to the woman. She's speaking back to me. She actually was from Brazil and I was telling her about how we just traveled to Latin America and we were kind of talking about just kind of how beautiful the countries are. And I was trying to kind of diffuse the situation. I think it was very, your adrenaline just kind of goes up straight away and you want to find the person and get your stuff back. But that wasn't looking likely. The main concern was the house keys. The main concern was the fact that whilst I had my house keys, so we weren't locked out of our apartment, Sam had his gym key on there, which is very expensive. It's like a one-time payment and you get a key fob. We had every key that we needed for our apartment complex, everything. It's just that gut-wrenching feeling of just the one thing that I needed. We really didn't care about any of the other stuff. There was some sentimental value, of course, because it was things that we'd taken traveling, but at the end of the day, you can replace that stuff, so it was fine. It was just the house keys was going to be a nightmare to replace. After about an hour of talking to this woman and her confirming they have the CCTV, they're saying, yep, a policeman will come around, pick up the CCTV, it's fine. And we're thinking, okay, but it's not now, this is a bit annoying. Sam has gotten off the phone with the police and we're both just sort of sitting outside, just trying to calm down, obviously, and just trying to kind of process, okay, what are we going to do? What do we do? And we had decided that obviously we were going to walk home. We also, I think, just needed to cool off. Like I say, the adrenaline just shoots up and suddenly your guard is completely up and you just kind of needed a walk to calm down. And it was like a 40-minute walk home, so it was fine. And on our way, we start walking and Sam goes, I've got an AirTag in my day bag. And I'm thinking, how the fuck did we not remember? What? It's been about an hour and a bit since this person has broken into the car. And so we don't know where they could have gone by this point. So we quickly get up the AirTag. We're quickly on Find My iPhone and we're tracking where this AirTag is. Says it's in the center of Melbourne. So we quickly run, I think it was 10, 15 minutes, just sprinting to the centre of Melbourne, on one of the busiest streets. I would say it's equal to Regent Street in London or something, Oxford Street, one of the busiest streets in Melbourne. Suddenly we realise, okay, he's on a tram, so we jump on a tram, we jump off a tram, and it kind of felt like this whole James Bond experience where we're tracking this guy, we're phoning the police, we're trying to catch him, we can see exactly where he is, we can tell if he's on a tram, if he's on a train, if he's walking. And it was quite as much as it was quite scary, because obviously you don't know who you're going to encounter, it was actually just really exciting and we quite enjoyed kind of the chase. We eventually end up on this, I would call it an estate maybe. It's an area where there's houses and flats and things like that. And there's a woman outside of the complex, which is where the AirTag is pinging. And so we go and look around her because it kind of is pointing towards her, kind of not. So we're just checking, we're not saying anything to her, we don't interact with her. Just want to double check if we can see the bag because it says it's a few feet away. She did not like the fact that we were going around her, so she started actually hurling some abuse at us, which was really fun. She wasn't very happy with us coming near her, which fair enough, we weren't disturbing her, but whatever. We then call the police because it says that it's pointing at her. Every time we face the phone at the woman, discreetly, of course, we don't want to kind of escalate the situation. We point the phone towards her and it says that the bag is there, exactly on her person, I guess. So we call the police and actually they were extremely responsive, came within 20, 30 minutes, went and questioned the woman and they said, look, I don't think she's got the bag, we've checked her and it's all fine. And we just said, yep, okay, that's fine. Thank you for coming out. Really, really appreciate it. So we go home feeling very, very deflated. I mean, I think emotionally we were just very, very drained. We had a lot of sentimental value to these items that were taken, obviously kind of practical practical things were taken, like the house keys. I think it was just kind of processing that we'd been robbed and we've not experienced that. Just a big shock to the system. I think also you don't think that it's ever going to happen to you for some reason, which I don't know why there's that kind of entitlement feeling. We kind of just came home and we just called our parents, said, look, we're fine, but this stuff has been stolen, just letting you know. We can actually see where the person is, but we can't do anything because obviously we don't want to approach this person. We don't know who the person is. The funny thing about it was that whilst we obviously had the AirTag on the bag, this person clearly did not know. And so they were making their evening journeys. They were going to lots of different houses. They actually went to another car park in a different area of Melbourne. They were kind of going on these midnight adventures and we were able to obviously see that. I think Sam stayed up till about 5, 6 a.m. just talking to the police, updating them, because at the same time, if a robbery is reported and we can see that this person is at that location, we might be helping the situation to some degree. There was actually a point in the night, I'd gone to bed, where it looked like the person was coming towards our flat because they were round the corner from the flat. Sam obviously got very nervous, thinking was the address on the house keys that were taken? I don't think so. And obviously that creates a lot of anxiety. Suddenly you feel quite unsafe and you don't feel very secure where you are. Luckily, they just went past. I think they were just traveling past where we live coincidentally. Then we wake up on the Sunday, and this was actually when I was recording the last podcast episode with Saba from Hush Hush. She coincidentally lived round the corner from where this thief lived. Genuinely round the corner, could see the place where they lived from her apartment. Unfortunately, the AirTag wouldn't update on that day for some reason. It was just really lagging, which obviously caused a bit of anxiety about, has this person figured out there's an AirTag? Have they chopped it off? And have they broken it, destroyed it, placed it somewhere? We don't know. So we kind of went home Sunday feeling quite gutted and not feeling obviously that great. We also hadn't spoken to the police, so there was no kind of update from them. There was no confirmation that a police officer had gone to collect the CCTV of the robbery. We felt a bit up in the air about the whole thing, and that's not a nice place to be when a lot of your stuff was stolen. Now we move on to Monday. We had actually gotten the day off work to kind of recoup. We were putting in the application for the new set of keys to come, and it was taking a while because we needed certain approvals from certain people, blah, 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 boring. It was actually just frustrating us more than anything. And suddenly I go and find my iPhone and I go under items and I see that the AirTag is in the centre of Melbourne again. They, for some reason, always were in the centre of Melbourne, but moving around, they didn't work there. It was very, very strange. And I said to Sam, well, we don't have work, so why don't we just go? There's nothing else we're doing today. Let's see if we can go and see this person. We don't even know what this person looks like. We have no clue what we're looking for. So we walk into town and we go around all the streets. We try and follow where it says, and obviously it says we're getting closer and closer. I feel like the adrenaline then kind of starts building again because you're thinking, oh my God, we're gonna see this person. Is this the thief? Is the bag been sold on? Like what are we supposed to expect? And we end up at a corner in the centre of Melbourne and it says we are right there next to the person with the bag. And we're looking around constantly. It's proper people watching. We can't find the bag anywhere. Also, the bag is black and everybody is wearing either a black jumper, a black coat, a black rucksack, and everything kind of just looks the same. So Eagle Eyes was like, we were trying, but it was very, very difficult. Suddenly the AirTag jumps 2 minutes later and it's going towards the train station. So we run to the train station, we're looking. It actually happened that there was some police at the train station for a whole other situation that was going on. So we went up and spoke to them, just said, obviously we think this person has got on a train, they've got my stolen backpack. Can you just send out a kind of announcement that if somebody with this bag gets off a train, just pull them up on it? We really didn't have high hopes for that because the train station that we were at is one of the busiest in Melbourne, if not the busiest. So there wasn't a lot of hope that people were going to spot this person with a black bag. And after this, we're feeling pretty deflated. We're thinking we've chased this person around Melbourne twice now. and we're just one step behind every time, and it's so frustrating. Let's make our move home. They might be getting the train to their home, you don't know, but let's just slowly walk back and just see what happens. We can see that this person has taken the train home. And so we go to that area and we're thinking, let's just hang around, let's just see. Let's not be kind of too on the nose about it. We don't want to be kind of right outside where we think this person lived. There's also some shops, there's some supermarkets. We're pretty hungry at this point. So we're thinking, let's just see if we can go get a snack, get a drink, something. We'll just see if the AirTag moves. It might not move, we don't know. After maybe 40 minutes, the AirTag jumps again and it goes only down the road from where this person lives to a shopping centre. We go into the shopping centre. There are obviously a lot of shops, and so we're thinking this is not going to be time well spent. We're actually better off just probably staying outside of the shopping centre, seeing who comes in, comes out, maybe they have the bag. And we went up to security at the shopping centre, spoke to them, and they said, yeah, we'll keep an eye out. We'll announce it to the other security members in the shopping centre, that's fine. But the security guard actually said, go and hang out on the corner just by the shopping centre, because that's where a lot of specific individuals hang out. I'm saying specific individuals for a reason. I don't know if I'm allowed to say what they technically are, but I'm trying to keep it, yeah. So we start walking. This is like a 30-second walk as well. It's not very far at all. Suddenly, Sam nudges me and says, that's my bag. That is my bag on that guy's back. And I'm thinking, where, I can't see. Obviously, everybody's still wearing black and black backpacks, and my eyes are just, I don't know what I'm looking at anymore because we've been looking for the past 2-3 days. And then I see the bag on this guy's back. We call the police straight away, kind of keeping our distance, of course. We don't know what this individual's like. We don't know if they're going to be confrontational if we go up to them. So we kind of hang back, call the police, try and keep it as safe as possible. He thankfully goes into a different shop. So we sit on a bench just outside of this shop, because we don't want to draw attention. We don't want him to become suspicious of us following him. We're calling the police whilst he's in there, and we're just sitting on this bench, pretending to kind of mind our own business, chatting away. Once he leaves the shop, we can tell that he is going home. Like I said, it's kind of creepy when you can track somebody's movements. You can tell where they live. I mean, it felt very kind of strange to know that we didn't know specifically where this person lived, but the specific area, like kind of the block, let's say, where they lived. And so whilst we're on the phone with the police, we are saying, be quick, because it sounds crazy, but we know he's going home. And once he goes home, the police obviously can't go in because they'd need a search warrant and they'd have to knock on multiple doors. And it's just, I didn't know this beforehand, but it's a whole process. You can't just kind of knock on someone's door, even if you know that your stolen goods are in there, and just say, give them back or whatever. It sounds really naive. This has never happened to me before. Didn't know what the right protocol was. And so this guy is walking back down the street, back to his home, we assume. The police say we will be there as soon as we can. And obviously we're thinking, no, you need to be quicker because this is quite an intense situation. We don't know when he's next going to leave his house, and this is just going to become a cat and mouse thing with the police, and we obviously don't want to be wasting their time. So we get closer to where this person lives. Luckily, we turn a corner. This is the final corner before this person can go into their home. And the police come around that corner, and they sort of met us with this person in the middle. I would say it was very mixed emotions, obviously, when the police came and I guess took over the whole situation, because a part of you is feeling very relieved. We've caught this person, we're gonna get the bag back, it's great. And another part of me, I think, was feeling a bit concerned and a bit anxious about the fact that I really hope they don't see my face. I hope that I haven't sort of given myself away. I don't want any trouble after this from anybody, any of his friends, anything. And so we were still kind of concerned about our safety, I would say, at that point, and just making sure that we followed police orders and just sort of kept out of the way, which proved successful. I mean, whatever's happened with the guy has happened. He was arrested, and we didn't think about this part, but they had to take the bag for evidence because obviously it was stolen. So whilst we were sitting there thinking, oh, we're going to get the bag back today. Yeah, we're not. It was taken into the police station. So the walk home we were celebrating. We were really happy we'd got the bag back. It had been a really stressful 2 days. The next thing we were thinking about was obviously, is any of the stuff that was stolen still in that bag? Because if it is, that would be a lifesaver. And obviously if not, then we're kind of in the same position as we were before in terms of the house keys, for example. As we're walking home, Sam decides to call the gym and just say to them, look, my keys have been stolen. They had my gym fob on them and I'm gonna need a replacement. Just wanna let you know in case it flags up anywhere, or if you see that I've been using the gym, it's not been me. The gym say, yeah, that's fine, don't worry, just come in and you can purchase a new fob. We're walking home, we're kind of celebrating. The only thing was obviously we didn't have the house keys and we were still gonna have to go through this entire stressful, annoying process to change the locks, get new keys, blah, blah, blah. Suddenly we get home and Sam gets a call from the gym saying, oh, I've got your keys here. Sam's like, what do you mean? Oh, okay, you've got my gym key. Oh, okay, cool, I'll come pick it up. You know, the new key, that's fine. And the girl on the phone says, no, I've got your keys. I've got your entire set of keys. Sam got up, rushed out the door, went straight to the gym, picked them up, and FaceTimed me when he came out. And he had his full set of keys that had previously been stolen 2 days prior, and we had no way of tracking them, no way of knowing where they were. He said that the only reason he got his keys back was because they had been dropped on the floor, and a nice, lovely woman found them on the floor, saw the gym key and the lanyard, and thought, oh, I know there's that gym round the corner. I'll go and hand it in to them. And it just so happened to be the gym that Sam goes to, because there are multiple of this gym. It's kind of like in the UK, you have the gym, Pure Gym, blah, blah, blah. There's multiple chains of this gym. She could have gone to any other gym, but luckily she had obviously gone to the right gym. And I was really sad that she'd not left any contact details. I really wanted to thank her, send her some flowers or something, because absolute lifesaver. Now we really did not have to go through any annoying key process, and I was so excited about that and so happy that we did not have to do that. So, moral of the story, buy AirTags and use AirTags as much as you can when you're going away. Even if you're going on holiday, put them in your suitcase. If you're going backpacking, put them in your bags. They were the absolute lifesaver, and we were able to track down our belongings. Obviously, we lost the jumpers and coats and things, but that's fine. It's all replaceable. And obviously, I do want to say that we are very, very lucky in this situation. We were not personally harmed. We were not physically robbed of us. We feel very grateful in that sense. It must be absolutely terrifying when that happens to people. The irony of the situation is definitely something that we will laugh about forever, is the fact that we had gone traveling for 6 months through Latin America, and it was in Melbourne where we get robbed. I do think that we got robbed because we just had our guard down, and you kind of become very comfortable in a situation and you don't think about certain things, because I'm sure people will be asking, why didn't Sam take the bag or take his keys, or, you know, but in those moments you just don't think, because like I said at the beginning, you don't think this will happen to you, and I just don't think you're thinking that way. Also, the Melbourne police were amazing. I do have to say, I don't think the kind of response that we got here would be the same in the UK. Doing that in America, we had been implementing these things, but I just think when you get somewhere that feels a bit more like home, you start to become pretty comfortable and you just forget about all these different things that you need to be aware of. But also that story time is kind of just a daily life tip. Do not leave anything in the car ever. You just never know what's going to happen. It could happen anywhere. I don't want people to be put off by Melbourne because of that. This is just an absolute fluke, but it definitely taught me some lessons about staying safe. So I really hope this video has helped. Obviously, if you have any questions, let me know. DM me, email me, comment down below. I've absolutely loved telling you this story because it's funny now. It wasn't funny then. I will see you in the next episode of the Amelie Moran podcast. Bye.